Due to ShowPro's aggressive copyright takedown policy, this re-upload will be audio only, with the fully edited version available to my patrons, link in the description below. So Diancie was mostly competent but marred by an abysmal ending, and Hoopa was enjoyable overall despite some hefty flaws. With that, we come to the final X and Y film, Volcanion and the Mechanical Marvel, and based on the first two films, I really have no idea what to expect from this one. Did it manage to round off the X and Y films positively? Let's take a look. While making a pit stop on their journey, Ash and friends encounter the mythical Volcanion when it falls out of the sky after being blasted away by the people it was fighting. A strange metal band gets wrapped around Ash in the commotion, and an electromagnetic pulse keeps him tethered to a matching band on Volcanion's leg. Now Ash and Volcanion must work together to save the mechanical Pokemon Magierna from those who are trying to capture it. I've noticed that with a lot of the post-Shudo films, I tend to prefer these smaller, more intimate stories over the ones with grandiose save-the-world plots, and this movie definitely fits the bill and managed to keep me invested all the way through. Its best selling point by far is the relationship between Volcanion and Magierna. You can definitely feel the history between these two, and they almost act like an old married couple at times. It feels like they really care about each other, and it makes their separations throughout the film feel tense and even a bit depressing. There's also a broader concept about trust and betrayal lightly commented on throughout the film. I was afraid that this idea would get beaten over my head at some point, but it was handled with a surprising amount of tact. There are some really damaged Pokemon in this movie, and it handles ideas about abandonment and deception without going too overboard. And this concept extends to the human characters as well. Even though it's pretty obvious who the villain is and who's being deceived, it's still a bit crushing when Lascelles, the Azoth Kingdom's prince, realizes that he's been lied to. And I'm kinda shocked that he got an actual arc with a total resolution to it, considering how little screen time he got. There's also some interesting commentary about technology and natural versus unnatural implementation of said technology. The Mega Wave that Jarvis uses to force Pokemon to Mega Evolve feels like a better realized version of the Dark Ball from Pokemon Forever, and it definitely intensifies the ideological conflict between those who use it and those who see it as an unnatural strain on the Pokemon. If I had to pick some flaws, I guess I'd say that the climax feels a bit too long. It has that problem where it keeps trying to end, but there are so many loose ends to tie up that it keeps adding on more and more content until we get to the final resolution. It's still an okay ending, but it just felt a bit dragged out. Animation-wise, this is definitely the best looking X and Y film, which is kinda surprising since its airing coincides with some of the best animated parts of the TV series, and I have no idea how they had the resources to do both. The colors are ultra vibrant and draw you into this world, especially with the contrast between the natural and the technological. The action scenes are intense and thrilling, though the choreography isn't the best, and even the CG managed to not just be competent, but even impressive in some moments. It takes a hell of a lot for me to say that CG is impressive. And while there are still a few spots where it sticks out, the grand scale of it all really sells the 3D models without feeling too out of place. With the soundtrack, there's not too much to speak of, unfortunately. There's one very Baroque sounding piece right before the climax begins, but not much else sticks out aside from the instrumental version of the X, Y, and Z opening. Overall, this is definitely the best of the X and Y films, and probably one of my favorite Pokemon films period. Despite being a mostly straightforward adventure film with endearing characters, it still manages to give me a little thematic meat to chew on that feels meaningful. There are a lot of movies to dig through before it, but definitely don't miss out on this marvelous adventure. That's it for this video. Before we get to the finale of Pokemon Movie Month, we'll check out another series of TV shorts, Pokemon Generations. And don't forget to check out my other content while you wait. Special thanks to Jan Rogalski, Rourke Tinjoin, JJJ User, Kushina Minami, and all my other patrons for their generous support. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.